Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of The State here on Wesleyan Television. The month of May is gradually gravitating to a halt, but there is a bombshell that has blasted, for which reason we have all the energy to end the month on a very, very explosive note. We take a breather. When we come back, the details. My name is Paa Kwesi Schandorf.
Sorry, not sure.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Get ready for a transformational morning experience.
Sorina Shrine is here to build our spirituality, mental and physical well-being.
Through positive, inspiring actions and stories.
We bring you exciting activities and conversations that develop us as a people and as a nation.
We take a look at the trending issues in Ghana and the rest of the world.
And we also review the impacting stories from our local newspapers.
Every morning, we bring you stories of hope, change, and renewal.
We empower you through the Word of God and provoke you to live the purposeful life destined for you.
Join us, Anita Kwaku
and the Reverend 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘𝗃, Monday to Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we take you on an inspiring journey, live and exclusively on WTV.
You may also join us on Facebook at WTV Ghana and on YouTube at Wesleyan TV Ghana.
Sorry, not Shrine.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Sorina Shrine is brought to you by
Danwell Insurance, Multi-Credit Savings and Loans,
and the Methodist University Ghana.
Amambre ni amadi mu enti bibia ye ye before say ye Ghana for yi ya amambre ni amadi ene kire amambre
free to take
ya amambre Rantuma eya mamre, eshe ya tadia eya mamre. Se ya Christophonis ya mamre ni amania. Na yesu na kwakwe ahoboso. Luti de manko bota kase. Susum ya profodia ensu tisa. Yesu nyame wo ya mamre kwasoa. Yesu nyame se no wo ya mamre ni amanie ekwaso. Ye kan ye Bible no a ye tiase we amamre ni amane ekwaso mani sai adwene bra na ye nwene insai adwene emfanso ni nyame.
Hello, good afternoon once again, and welcome to another installment of The State here on Wesleyan Television. Today is a very, how do I even describe it? Not to sensationalize the issue, but this is a development that really has generated a groundswell of public conversation and debate. Why? Because it borders on corruption, it borders on integrity, and certainly it borders on the credibility of public office holders. In case you are not a follower of the news, well, follow me here on W Briefs, because we're going to tell you exactly the fine details surrounding the conversation for today, and reason for which you have to be interested as well. So it's basically about the ambulance trial saga, and I'm going to serve you the facts very soon. Of course, let's start with the details, the issues for that matter. Now, in December 2021, former Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗘 and 2 others were dragged to court for allegedly causing financial loss of 2.37 million euros to the state, specifically the Republic of Ghana. As to why this happened, we're going to tell you shortly. Now, the trial relates to a contract to purchase some 200 ambulances for the country between 2014 and 2016. So we're going to tell you the individuals, of course, who were involved, who were charged for that matter. Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗘, who is the Member of Parliament for the 𝗟𝗵𝗪𝗘 constituency, was charged together with 𝗟𝗵𝗪𝗘, a former Chief Director of the Ministry of Health, and 𝗟𝗑𝗪𝗘. This name has become very popular in recent times, and you're going to know why very soon. A businessman. So those were the 3 individuals. Can we go back? I'm going to show you the 3 individuals who have been charged. So who were charged. So Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗘, he at then was the Deputy Minister for Finance, as well as 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗘. He was a former Chief Director of the Ministry of Health, and then 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗘, a businessman. So these were the 3 characters who initially were facing trial by the state. But as we progressed, we will hear that the former Chief Director of the Ministry of Finance was no more part, because of course the Attorney General filed a null prosequi, which effectively took him out of the charges. Now, these were the charges specifically. 1, willfully causing financial loss to the state. Abetment to willfully cause financial loss to the state. So this is 1, and then this is 2. We'll proceed. Again, the charges goes on to say that contravention of the Public Procurement Act. This also was part of the charges that were leveled against the 3. Don't forget, I said that the Chief Director at the Ministry of Finance was taken out. Then, of course, intentionally misapplying public property. So we've counted about 4 now. So contravention of the Public Procurement Act featured, and then the last one that I just hinted. The accused persons have since appeared, of course, intentionally misapplying public property, just for the sake of the emphasis, and that goes by way of the charges. Now, the accused persons have since appeared before the court every now and then since the trial began in December 2021. We are in the year 2024, and so if it began in December 2021, we can logically extrapolate that this thing has lasted well over 2 years and over. But there has not been any definitive determination of the matter. Rather, there have been developments that are very interesting, which we're going to interrogate very soon. Now, in a recent twist to the case, the AG has been accused of plotting to unlawfully jail Dr. 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗘. So this effectively is the crux and the gravamen, the issue that has generated all the conversation. That, of course, it was the Attorney General who initiated the proceedings, but the development that have come up in recent times points to the fact that all of what is happening does not have any substantial basis. Rather, it's more like a political witch hunting. Now, why is this conversation festering? It's because at the last hearing on May 23, the 3rd accused, 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗘 for that matter, 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 said that Godfrey Deboah-Dame, who is the AG, had approached him to help him implicate the minority leader, Dr. 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗘. So let me just give you the wrap once again. So 3 individuals, 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪, Dr. 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, and then, of course, the former director at the Ministry of Finance. The Attorney General, said that, look, I'm not interested in you, and so I'm going to deal with the former Deputy Finance Minister as well as 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪. And so, of course, the trial has been ongoing until March recently, when 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪 dropped the bombshell in court, saying that the Attorney General has actually been coercing him to falsify evidence in an attempt to jail the minority leader. And why would that come up in the first place? Well, the explanation that prominently has featured is that it's all an attempt for the minority leader to be coward in probing issues in Parliament. Whether that is true or not, we do not know, but that forms part of the bulk of the narrative on the train of public discourse. Now, following the revelation by 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, the NDC. This was followed by a swift press conference, of course, by the NDC communications officer, 𝗟𝗵𝗃𝗓, who announced his party's intention to release a tape supporting 𝗟𝗑𝗩's claim. So this was Thursday of last week. 𝗟𝗑𝗩 said in open court that you know what, the Attorney General has actually been impressed upon me to falsify evidence against the minority leader. 𝗟𝗵𝗃𝗓 took the matter up and said that he was going to stage a press conference to buttress the assertions that had been earlier articulated by Richard 𝗟𝗑𝗩 in court. Now, the presiding judge, Her Ladyship Justice 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘 on May 28, 2024, cautioned the parties to the case on public commentary on the ongoing trial. And that was an exercise in prudence, because, of course, when a matter is being tried, it is really not advisable for the parties to be making utterances that could, of course, create wrong impressions about the flow of the proceedings. And so that call was well in order. Now, despite the judge's caution, the NDC and NPP held separate press conferences yesterday, May 28, to make further claims on the AG's alleged plot to jail the minority leader. So the judge had cautioned that, look, this is a very serious development and we do not want the matter to be predetermined, you know, especially in the court of public opinion. Therefore, you ought to think twice about your public posture and commentary. But yesterday, the NDC staged a press conference, after which the NPP also rebutted, I should say, with its own presser, which was addressed by the party's Director of Legal Affairs, Frank Davis. We're going to get into the gravamen of those two press conferences very soon. But the big question that we are asking this afternoon is that, has the fight against corruption become a mere political football played in the court of public opinion or otherwise? Why are we asking the question? It's simple, because yesterday both parties were saying separate things. The NDC leaked an audio. The NPP said, well, all of this is doctored. So the question arises that, has the fight against corruption become a mere political football played in the court of public opinion? We'll take a breather. When we come back, we'll introduce our guest, and then the discussion will be on. Don't go anywhere. All right. We are sure that we have served you with the brief of this very important conversation. It's now time for us to get into the relevant discussion. And joining us via phone this afternoon is government spokesperson on governance and security, Paa Kwesi Schandorf. We understand that he's still deepening his connection. Then he would reach out to us for us to pick his thoughts on the matter. But we are also joined on the line by Vitus Axim. He is a seasoned, I should say, or a popular anti-corruption crusader. He joins us also over the phone this afternoon to interrogate this matter. Vitus, it's a pleasure having you this afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing very well.
Right. You've been at the fore of championing against corruption and all other related matters. I want to pick your initial reactions on this particular development with respect to the outset of the prosecution up to now in the wake of the recent developments. Preliminary thoughts.
This is not the first time that something like this is happening. We had a problem with the former chairman of the NDC with the grass leak tape, and the rumors were there. Now we're having this again. It looks like the opposition or the ruling party is always targeting let's say, some members of the ruling party, I mean the opposition party. And you wonder, why is it that if these people did this, why they were in power, why is it that the appointed authority did not take any action against them, and you have to wait for a new government to come and take them on? And then, even that, with the new government, they are almost out of power. In fact, we are having in December. And this matter has still not been resolved. So, you ask, what is the purpose of this prosecution? Because if the prosecution had built their case very well against him, and if he had actually committed the crime that he's alleged to have committed, by now the case would have been ended. So are we just talking about corruption, or we are fighting corruption?
So
why do we have to always wait for a change of government to prosecute people of the former government?
Vitus, do I get the impression that you do not, first off, believe in the merits of the case in the very first place? Because, of course, the Attorney General has passed that stage. Upon leveling the allegation, those who were involved, Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗧, of course, filed a case of no submission. It did not fly, which means that there is really a matter to be tried. On prima facie, the AG has established a case.
Please, for some reason, the sound bite is not coming very well. I'm not hearing well.
Yeah, I'm making the case that you seem, I mean, from your, opening commentary, it's obvious you seem to be under the impression that this is not a matter to be tried in the very first place and that there is no merit. But I am countering that and making the point that what the AG has established, on the face of it, that really there is a matter to be tried. You don't think there is a substance worth interrogating?
No, I haven't said that there's no case. There's no case. I'm just asking, why do we always have to wait for a change of government to deal with cases like this? What prevented the NDC to take this matter up if the accused persons had actually done something wrong? And even when this government took over, why has it taken so long to prosecute this matter? I'm not saying that they have not done anything wrong. No, don't get me wrong.
Okay, that clarification.
But when you are in court, and you're struggling to prove your case, then it raises doubts as to the seriousness of your allegations. But that's not to say that they haven't done something wrong.
Well, that clarification is very well noted. But of course, you would agree that leveling an accusation does not necessarily mean that all of a sudden you are going to nail the person. The individual who is affected would mount a defense, obviously. So the fact that probably the results have not come immediately doesn't mean that there is no proper substance being tried. That's the impression I get. Of course, the accused will have to mount a defense.
There's a lot of sound from your end, interference.
Is it clear now? Are you able to hear us?
Yes, it's better, and if you make your question short so that I can.
Okay, now I'm making the point that perhaps why the matter has not been expedited as you may have wanted it is because when you accuse anybody, definitely the individual will have to file a defense or a reaction, and that the substance of that defense would also have to be interrogated, like the way Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗧 has done. It doesn't mean that really the AG is struggling, like you put it.
Well, if you have filed a case against somebody, you would have built a good docket. As Attorney General, you're the lawyer of the state. And if you build a good docket in 1 year, you don't need another 7 years to prosecute the case. But it shows a lack of interest in getting the case successfully prosecuted. But please don't quote me wrong. I'm not saying that the people have done nothing wrong. That has not been proved. They have not been found innocent by the court. But I'm just saying that we say that the wheels of justice or the run slowly, but this one has taken rather too long.
All right.
That's just the point I'm making.
Okay, and that point is again well noted. We'll be joined on the line very soon by the government spokesperson on governance and security. We are still trying to establish contact with him because we understand that he's currently outside of our local jurisdiction. He's not in Ghana at the moment. And so as and when we are able to forge that all-important connection with him, he would also share his thoughts. And so I'm going to engage you further because you make a point that why didn't the prosecution start during the 𝗟𝗏𝗪𝗓 administration when the incident actually happened, and that why are we seeing it now? Is it not a case of, if you like, broken systems in fighting corruption, the reason for which if an event happens in this particular administration, we would only hear of it and prosecution will start in another regime? Does it not affirm the fact that the fight against corruption does not have any relevant or strong pillars?
Yeah, that's what it means. It means that in Ghana, our leaders are not serious about the fight against corruption. Because if you have appointed someone to do something, and there's even a rumor, or an allegation that the fellow has done something wrong, you promptly investigate it. If the fellow is exonerated, that's fine. If the fellow is found guilty, first take administrative action, if you remove the person, and then if there is a need to go on to prosecute, you prosecute. But that doesn't happen. And that's the problem we have in this country. Politicians are always reluctant to act on their own. So you even see that the press conference are being organized by the parties and not by the individuals involved, defending them when they were not part of the alleged acts. So why should a party chairman or secretary or whatever come out to defend an individual member of the party? Doesn't the person have a lawyer or somebody else that can actually do this?
Well,
the same way the NPP party people have come out to sort of also defend the Attorney General. They were not part of the conversation.
But
why are they defending him? Can he talk?
The individuals,
I've not heard him
the individuals
come out to deny that meeting or what he's being accused of doing. So you see, we muddy the waters by the parties getting involved in the defenses. That's unfortunate. That's why we are not succeeding in the fight against corruption.
Hold your thoughts briefly. The individuals in the case belong to political parties, and for the fact that they belong to political parties, really the conversations would by all means definitely touch the outfits that they belong to. Is it wrong if the parties also join the conversation in that respect?
I think it's not right. Sometimes even the parties don't have adequate information about the alleged acts and they come out to defend. They wouldn't even call the individuals involved to find out what is the truth about this so as to decide whether to defend or not. They just come out to defend. And that is because the attribute is the wrongs of the person to his or her party. So if an entity guy does something wrong, or they engage in corrupt act, we just say the party is corrupt. The same way, if an entity person does something wrong, we say the party is corrupt. And because the party doesn't want to be tagged as being corrupt, then the tendency for them to come out and defend the person. And that's unfortunate. And that's also the reason why the ruling parties don't take action, or the government of the day does not take action on his or her appointees. Because once they sanction your own appointee, they're going to say that you even say your party is corrupt. You see that your own man, you yourself have prosecuted your own person. And that's very unfortunate. But it's also partly due to our political system. People that have contributed to the campaigns and all that, make them ministers or board members and that, if they do something wrong, you'll find it difficult to say, please go, you have done this, I'm not going to allow you to remain in office.
Right. We're still trying to establish contact with the government spokesperson on governance and security, Paa Kwesi Schandorf. It appears that the weather, I don't know whether it's the weather or the other circumstances, are not really being friendly to us this afternoon. But surely he would join and then we would gauge his inputs as well. But because we do not have him, Vetos, I want us to stay more on the fight against corruption, which appears to be failing, or which appears to have taken a bipartisan character, in the sense that we only hear of corruption when there is a new regime installed, and all the prosecutions have gotten to do with those in the erstwhile administration, which really gives it a political character. But that is why the office of the special prosecutor, for example, made sense to so many individuals. I'm sure you rallied around it as well. But if you look at that institution, if you look at that outfit, as of now, it is now, I don't want to say defunct, but struggling. Do you really think that it is the systems, the political systems that we have that have made it that way, or the man at the helm is really not, as it were, doing what he's supposed to do?
It's difficult to tell, because the man at the helm has come up to complain about the judiciary frustrating his efforts, having lost a number of cases in court. So this is what he's saying. Whether it is true or not, or whether he did not do certain things right, is very difficult to prove. Because, again, with prosecution, if you don't build your case well and you go to court, the court will throw it out. So if you do that and you come out and say, well, the court has thrown out the matter because the court is not supporting me, that is your opinion. It's also possible that he's built a good case, gone to court, and the court has decided otherwise for one reason or the other. And you know, Professor Raymond Atoga published a report about the voting of Supreme Court judges based on their appointing
authority. Right.
And so we are tending to see more and more of those things these days, with more new judges being appointed by the president, more sitting on cases, especially political cases, than old and experienced judges, which is a worrying trend. And so people tend to say that, well, this case is political, so they are likely to rule in a certain favor. And yesterday, a former chief justice made a comment like, the cases are predictable, which is an indictment on our Supreme Court, in fact, the judiciary. Because it sinks down to the lower levels. We see cases of a judge trying a case is not finished and he's transferred, and another judge put on the case. See, these are things that raise eyebrows, especially to we the ordinary people. We are not lawyers. We don't know the legal reasons for such actions, or even the legal implications of such actions. So we tend to conclude that, well, something wrong is taking place.
Under the circumstances, will you join calls for the office to be scrubbed? Because the explanation that you have given, some find it to be really exclusive, because the office has been created, the office has been well resourced, there is legal backing to firm the operationalization of the office of the special prosecutor. Yet we have only seen, as it were, series of excuses and too many explanations. Would you then say that, look, since we are not getting the relevant results, let's then rely on outfits like maybe Yoko and Straj, and then do away with the office of the special prosecutor?
No, I will support that. You see, the fact that they are not successfully prosecuted in a case does not mean that it's not important to have the office. It is not the only institution in the country that is not working to the satisfaction of Ghanaians. But we just need to take steps to improve it, enhance its activities, and make sure that it operates very well.
But corruption...
The independence is very important.
Vitos, but corruption is a big deal.
You need to give the independence and the resources for it to be able to operate well.
Vitos, I'm making the point that corruption is a very big deal. So if after the time the office was installed up to now, in fact, we have had someone occupying the office before, in the person of Martin Amidu. He resigned and he made some comments the popular one implicating the presidency itself. Then another individuals get into that portfolio, and basically he's saying the same thing. The last press conference he staged, I heard him say that he has become a lonely bird in the local tree parlance, and therefore he will do what he can do within, I mean, the available opportunity or resources, and leave when its time is due. I mean, if we've had two prominent individuals all singing the same rhythm, maybe we should cut the song out totally.
Hello?
Yeah, Vitus, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Great. I'm making the point that we first of all saw 𝗟𝗏𝗧𝗵𝗏𝗘 occupying that office, and he left. He abandoned his role because he felt that, well, his efforts were being stifled, especially from the presidency. Then we saw 𝗟𝗑𝗏 coming into the fray. He also came into the fray, and in his very last public outing press conference, we heard him lamenting, indicating that, I mean, he has now become what he likened to the lonely bird, and therefore he will do what he can and leave when the time is due. I'm making the point that since all of these two individuals who we really had very high expectations of have all been singing the same rhythm, what is the essence of keeping the track playing, the office of the special prosecutor running in the face of these developments, if we are not getting any meaningful results?
I still think that when you set up an institution for a purpose, and the institution is not able to do what it's supposed to do, you look at it and try to see how best you can change it. And I would like to refer to the snitch coming out to tell us that the hotels are struggling. If the hotels are struggling, have you tried changing the management? It doesn't mean that snitch doesn't need to exist, or that snitch doesn't need to have hotels. But you need to look at the managers of the hotels and then try to correct the problems that they have.
Okay, Vitus, let's end on this note and take a breather. I'm sure that when we come back, by then we would have been able to properly establish contact with your co-discussant, and then we get into the gravamen properly, because that matter is the essence of today's conversation. The circumstances and the, if you like, controversies surrounding the trial of Dr. 𝗟𝗏𝗧𝗵𝗏𝗘 are two forces. So stay on for us. We want to take a quick breather. When we come back, the rest of the conversation continues. Don't go anywhere.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in T, you respond, yeah, addition. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Ope baby apeso bompai. Na oni nyami edi inkita ho. Bibi chire oso. Ana amanye bi na be senkum. And you come home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer in able to do it. That is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend Hosea Osei, and the Evangelism Mission Renewal Directorate as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends or loved ones every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
Orofo onyankopon bo wi yo wate Bible say me adwen a medwen won wonya bone bi de adwen be ma wi ye pa ene edi da so obonofo na pekwan bi afaso awura asirikena mu awura brabo mu nti niam onyame hyehye to ho ma ye no entumi nko semia ese eko na so onyankopon e de nkunimdie kwan bi e de ato ho ama ye na no le twase nipa hwehwe akire kwan eyi ne yegina nkunimdie a onyame siesie ma ye no na free ho no ye be ye dan ne yetumi asan afa. There should be a point. Saul e wo Damascus kwan so no Kristo ehia no until there was a turn in his life. Onyankopon suma Jonah, there was a turn e wona brabom. Edien na si wo brabom. Edien na ekoso wo asetene mu. Won a wo hu won no oyi won to ho. Won a wo yi won no wo frɛ wo. Won a wo frɛ won no o hye won ani onyam. Ani ntimi dwumadi a wato ni din se turning point e de brew. E wo Wesleyan TV. Kwasi ada bia anwumre no nkron. Mesra anwumre no nkron. No watena wo TV achi. Na me wa ye mpense mu onyame asem mu. There will be a turn. Now the onyam hye ebe merad. Shalom. Peace.
The conversation is still on, and we are delving and settling on the matter of corruption. Why is corruption very important? Because basically it's one of the cankers that sucks away the growth and the development of the country. And there have been so many instances where we have bemoaned the issue publicly, privately, as individuals, and even within the establishment of the church. It's one of the big issues that really confronts and affects the development of the country. Anytime I have an opportunity to commentate on issues on the train of public discourse, it is one of the things that I always stress as the biggest, if you like, problems in Ghana. Because yes, there have been people who have made the case that, well, we are not developing because we are practicing democracy, and therefore we should revert to other alternatives of governance. But no matter the alternative of governance or the option that you choose to embrace, if you have public office holders using their status and portfolio to siphon and amass wealth and other benefits for themselves at the expense of the generality of the populace, you really cannot grow regardless of the system that you have, put in place. Even if it were theocracy, I mean, God reigning in the affairs of men, God deciding who became minister, DCE or whatever, so long as the individuals involved are corrupt, definitely you cannot have very fine outcomes. And that is why it's a big issue. The entry point for us this afternoon is the circumstances surrounding the trial of the minority leader in Parliament, Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗘, who currently is standing trial over his role in the purchase of some ambulances some years back. We do know from the facts that we submitted during the W briefs that currently, the matter has taken a very interesting dimensions, especially because of the revelation that the NDC put out yesterday at its presser at the party's headquarters at Adabraka. The National Democratic Congress effectively is saying that the prosecution of the minority leader is political. It doesn't have any basis. It is tipped in political witch hunting, if you want to put it that way, and it is characterized or animated by personal hatred and acrimony without any basis. We had the NPP also coming out to say that, look, all of what the NDC is saying, the tips that they have put out, indeed, the NPP says that the tip that has come out, I mean, purported to be a conversation between the third accused, Richard Jakpa, and the Attorney General is a doctored tape. It's a tape that nobody should take seriously because it does not have any merit. It has been tampered with. We have also heard a security analyst, Adam Bona, indicating strongly that, well, from his personal examination and observation of the tape, it is not a doctored tape. And so it looks like what ordinarily is supposed to assume a national character, as usual, has taken a political trajectory. And that is an important, is rather a worrying development or sentiment, because anytime events happen in that manner, you realize that we often lose the substance of the issue, and that is why we are focusing on the matter this afternoon. 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗡 is the former executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, as well as the an anti-corruption crusader, and we've been talking to him about the matter. Thankfully, we've been joined now by the government spokesperson on governance. I nearly said corruption. The government spokesperson on governance and security, Paa Kwesi Schandorf. Paa Kwesi, it's a pleasure to have you this afternoon. How are you doing from where you are outside of our jurisdiction? Hello, Paa Kwesi.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
very good afternoon to you.
Right. Yes, we are just asking, I mean, from the very outset, how are you faring? We understand you are not in Ghana.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, how are you doing, basically?
I'm well. Thank you very much.
Right.
Very well.
Right. Your initial comments on this very thorny and controversial matter. I'm sure you have apprised yourself with the relevant facts and you're familiar with all the controversies that have come, you know, from both quarters. What do you make of it? I mean, from the very beginning. Hello, Paa Kwesi. It appears that the connection, like I earlier said, is not being our friend this afternoon. So let me come to you, 𝗧𝗵𝗘. We were on the part of how the treatment of political issues have become largely political and polarized, and why there is a need for us to address that matter, and the office of the special prosecutor in particular. But there is also another leg of the conversation that is very important, and that has gotten to do with state agencies reportedly clashing, or rather disagreeing with each other, one another, where the treatment of corruption issues, you know, are concerned. Will you patronize the argument that we should harmonize all the institutions for fighting corruption, vis-a-vis IOCO, STRAJ, the OSP's office itself, and indeed every other outfit? Will you be interested in such a conversation that, look, let's put all of them together and let's run a single unit in dealing with the matter of corruption? We understand that we have also lost touch with 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗡. It appears that we're having a number of challenges this afternoon, but it happens. It does happen. And so we'll still stay on the conversation. Then, like I was earlier indicating, that corruption really affects not just, it is not just the state that suffers. Individuals are also gravely and largely affected. And like we stated in the W briefs, I mean, the introduction to this particular conversation, anytime an act of corruption comes up in this country, everybody is worried, because that is what really, at all points in time, sucks away the energy for national development. But I understand 𝗧𝗵𝗘 has joined us again. 𝗧𝗵𝗘, I was making the point before we lost connection with you, that will you fuel or embrace the argument that says, or the suggestion that says, that we should harmonize all the corruption fighting institutions, vis-a-vis IOCO, STRAJ, and even the office of the special prosecutor? We should integrate it and make it a single outfit. Do you buy that argument?
No, we are not able, even with their separate functions, they are not able to perform to our satisfaction. And even before the creation of the office of special prosecutor, there were calls for SHRAG to be separated into divided into two institutions, one for human rights and the other for anti-corruption, because they thought that the work was too much for SHRAG. So I wouldn't advise or recommend that to bring the special prosecutor into the same one or the other institution. It's okay, as I've said before, for it to be on its own. We just need to reactivate it, make sure that we provide it with the necessary resources, allow it to have the independence to do its work, and then we, as civil society and media, we have oversight over what he does. For now, civil society supports him. And because civil society supports the office, any criticism of the special prosecutor is not seen well with civil society. But see, we should be open. If something is alleged to have done something wrong, we should accept it and blame the person, or ask the person to come out and exonerate himself or herself. We should not necessarily just support the person or condemn those people criticizing him because you support him. And that's what the political parties are doing. And I think civil society should not get involved in that type of behavior.
Because you make mention of civil society, I am inclined to also throw in the churches, the faith-based organizations, because largely they represent the conscience of society. Do you think that we should also properly integrate them into the fight against corruption? Because almost everybody here in Ghana, especially Christians, because Christians form the bulk of the population, everybody has a religious leader, everybody subscribes to a creed or the other. If we were to centralize, all the faith-based organizations, maybe in one pool, and we give them a role to weed out corruption, do you think that would give us any meaningful results?
See, the Bible condemns corruption, and the Quran condemns corruption. So, we are all supposed to be preaching against corruption. And as you said, it's the individuals that make up the churches and the mosques. But bringing them together will not change the situation. It's the people in those in churches and mosques that need to change their attitude towards corruption. If you really believe in the Bible and you believe the Savior Jesus Christ and the things that he was preaching, then you should not be condoning corruption. But these days we see churches acting in a way that is untoward. They seem to be also engaged in corruption or defending corrupt people. And when you go and steal money and go and give to a church, of course, they welcome you with open hands, and they may even put you to sit at a place that is for people of high standing without considering the source of the money. But I don't think the solution is to bring them together, integrate them into one church or whatever. See, churches are made of different beliefs. They have different beliefs and approaches the way you can go to heaven. So if I think the way you can go to heaven is to do good on earth, and the other person thinks you might just be praying, going to the pastor and kneeling down and allowing the pastor to work on you. And you bring them together, there's no way we can work together.
All right, because of course, the disparity in interpretation of scriptures and, as it were, creed at large. That point is well noted. Palgrave, you were making a point before we lost touch with you. I wanted to pick your preliminary thoughts on the controversies that have come out in the very first place regarding the trial of Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘.
Any problem?
Hello, Palgrave.
Yes, I can hear you. A very good afternoon to you, and sorry for the earlier challenges.
Yes, so the point I was making is that there's been a plethora of controversies that have animated this very controversial development. But I want to gauge your preliminary comments. What do you make of all the developments, the back and forth, the accusations of the NDC, and the defenses that have been coughed by your party? Preliminary thoughts.
So I'm very concerned about how things are going on in Ghana, the country that we love, and the country that has given people an opportunity to serve. For me, every single Ghanaian should be very concerned about this issue, because public holders need to be accountable for the taxpayers' money. Every public office holder needs to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money. On the bare facts of the issues, from 2012, when the 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘 government of John Dramani Mahama, through cabinet and through parliament, approved the purchase of 200 vehicles to be ambulances, and the fact that the former Deputy Minister for Finance and now minority leader gave authorization to the Bank of Ghana to issue letters of credit for 25% of payments to be made when Parliament was not aware and the Ministry of Health were not aware, and these letters of credit were given, and at which time vehicles had not come to Ghana. It's significant to state as well that between October of 2014 and February of 2015, 13 vehicles came to Ghana. When these vehicles were assessed by the Ghana Ambulance Services and the Ministry of Health, they stated that they were just empty vehicles like trotro, and that they didn't have the full complement to be called an ambulance. I think that on the bare facts, every Ghanaian should be really very concerned that some persons are causing financial loss to the state and being inappropriate in their decision. That you have called the Ghanaian public payer and taxpayer close to about 2.5 million euros. I think that we can do politics with it. And I'm on a personal advocacy to call every single public office holder to hold accounts. That if you are involved in any of these acts, we should be very concerned. We want to see a Ghana that works. We want to see a Ghana that develops. We want to see a Ghana that has developed like the rest of the world. And so we can't do politics with this issue. But I'm glad that in 2017, when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government came, they opened up for investigations, received statements from people. Dr. Alex Sebesia and co. gave statements to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General filed these as criminal offenses. It's also significant to note that Big C Company Limited, which is a company in Dubai that were in the purchases of these events, had a local agent called Dapa, who just came into the scene as the third accused. I am concerned that as government Ghana would want to purchase ambulances through an agent in Dubai, then they'll have a local partner. These businesses of stealing money that belongs to the Ghanaian people should come to an end. I have confidence in the judiciary. I have seen that the respected Justice Botrin has stated that if you want to do politics, take it out there. But here the law would work, and it will take the full rigors of it. So these would be my preliminary comments on the issue.
Right. Program, away from those comments, I mean, and with respect to those comments, I'm sure that every other person would agree with you that we should be very forceful in weeding out the perennial, challenge that we've had of public office holders causing financial loss to the states. That's incontrovertibly true. But there's also an additional matter that is important, that in our attempt to recoup monies belonging to the state, properly so-called, we should not be witch-hunting. The testimony and the claims of Richard Jakpa point to that yes, in as much as clearly there's a matter to be tried, there's someone else somewhere who wants an underhand dealing, if I have to put it that way. In this case, the Attorney General, his allegation, Jakpa's allegation is that the Attorney General has been impressing upon him to falsify evidence. Is that not of concern to you as well?
I don't think that's an issue that would come before the judge as a statement. Because before the judge, it's a statement that you have received. And also the Attorney General closed his case. If you recall, after the Attorney General had done all the cross-examination, he closed his case. And so if people are purporting that the Attorney General is telling Richard Jakpa to make a statement of claim, I think it's neither here nor there. The judge is not going to take those statements of claim as bare facts. It's bare facts of the issues that are on the ground. That the former Deputy Minister for Finance, the Honorable Atoforsen, ordered the Bank of Ghana to issue letter of credit when the Ministry of Health and then Parliament had not given approval for that, and when vehicles have not come into Ghana. If those are the issues, we need to look at the issues just as it is, so that we don't move away from the best facts of the issues.
But are you not interested in, I'm saying that clearly we can all agree that, of course, and we do not even want to get too much into the substance of the case. We are cautious because it's still a matter under trial. But away from the substance or otherwise, which only the court has the prerogative to determine, is it not concerning? Is it not an issue for you as a spokesperson on governors who clearly is interested in the fight against corruption? Are you not minded to comment on the alleged posture of the Attorney General, especially when, if you like, evidence has been adduced in that respect? Is it not concerning? Is it not a bother to you?
No, I think that my major concern really is that Richard Gatba, who is the third accused, who is facing trial, should be really mindful of some comments that he made, because he's a business person. He's an intermediary for companies around the world, like he represents the Dubai company, Big C Company Limited. He should be very mindful of how he gets himself involved in these political activities. But you're aware that most of the political actors do business with people who are particularly also aligned to their political agenda. So I can understand some influences that will be coming from the opposition party in relation to him making these statements. And you also know that this is money involved. If he's been able to make some profit margin out of this money, he would want to make a statement that would try to ensure that the judge does not go through the full rigors of the statement and bring it to the bare facts and be able to pass a sentence. So for me, those are no issues I want to dwell on. I want to dwell on the substance of the issues that @214 issued Bank of Ghana to do letters of credit and cost close to about 2.5 million euros, which is a loss to the Ghanaian country. We should be concerned about that and make sure that we get the judge to be able to do what is right in the interest of the Ghanaian people.
Since your concern is about the sum involved and how huge it is in the very first place, and how that the state is supposed to recoup that money, we have understanding that Richard Gsakpa himself has undertaken or proposed to make a payment, if you want to call it restitution, in that particular respect, and the AG has categorically refused that proposition. Is that not concerning? So 2.7 million euros has gone down the drain. I mean, the parties involved come around and say that, look, yes, we understand, we concede that perhaps a thing or two may have gone wrong. We want to pay upfront. And we do even understand that the conversation has been enhanced to the point that Richard Gsakpa no longer wants to pay the 2 million, but even more. Why do we hear that the Attorney General does not want to accept that particular suggestion? If it's true, why is that happening?
Do you know why it is a challenge to always give people statements of bail? Now, the reason is that people can be at the wrong side of the law. And because they know that being at the wrong side of the law every time, they have an opportunity to out this statements of claim so they can be able to pay whatever amount of money and get away. That's not it. You see, the judges system in Ghana is to ensure that wrong is wrong. If people have caused financial loss to the state, the judge can sentence you to jail and still cause you to pay the amount of money. And so the goal is not for you to pay the amount of money and walk on the street of Ghana free. The goal is to see that your intent and purpose is to rip off the Ghanaian people of their hard-earned taxpayers' money. And in trying to do that, we need to make sure that we bring you to the law. And I think that for me, that's the real goal. If not, then everybody can go and misbehave, use the taxpayers' money for whatever they want to do. And then later on, if the law gets you, they'll just tell you, the law just tells you that you can repay the money. Then that's it. But that's not it. The goal is to make sure that the judges' systems is working. And the goal is to make sure that this serves as punitive measure for other people. Look at what happened in Matchlock. Look at the whooping amount of money that Matchlock spent. And now she's going to serve a jail term. We should be concerned that public officers are misusing public funds. And that should stop.
Well, I get the point about, I mean, the punishment serving as a deterrent. But let me come to you, Vitus, on that particular note. If the conversation is true, if what we have gathered is indeed the case that Richard �𝗓𝗪𝗘 intends to return really almost more than 70% of the money, do you still think that the Attorney General's refusal is justified in that particular respect?
The Attorney General's refusal is justified if he's convinced that he can convict the people involved. Most of the time, you come to the plea bargain if you are not even too sure that you have a strong case against the main accused person. So you want some support from some hostile witnesses or whatever you call them to help you make your case. But if the Attorney General is convinced that his case against that particular is weak, then I think that the best approach would have been for him to take the $2 million. But you see, as we talk about this, we should try to avoid going into the merits and demerits of the case because it is before a court of competent jurisdiction. So that's why I shied away from going into the merits and demerits of the case, talking about whatever money is involved and that kind of thing.
Right. Let me come back to Palgrave because there are more questions that I want to, as it were, throw to him and pick his thoughts on. Palgrave, before we connected with you, Vitus Azim was making the case that there is no need to collapse the office of the special prosecutor, given the fact that, the current occupant of that portfolio has been doing well fairly in his assessment. But he has made comments, that same special prosecutor has made comments to the effect that your government is not, should I say, playing ball or supporting him. We had Martin Amidu say the same thing, which eventually culminated in his resignation. Is it not the case that the system is fighting the very institutions that are supposed to be weeding out corruption, especially in your administration?
My dear brother, it is only the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa in this fourth republic that has been able to set up an office of a special prosecutor. Jerry John Rawlings didn't do that. Akpos didn't do that. Dramani Mahama did not do that. It is Nana Addo Dankwa who has done that. And so I think that for me, it is in sync. I commend President Nana Addo Dankwa for his decisive nature in ensuring that at least we have an OSP. There may be challenges, I can agree. But I know that every single budget statement that has been read from 2017, the anti-graft agencies have been supported largely. And so for me, we should call.
You have just 1 minute remaining.
But Palgrave, what is really on the scorecard? Because 7 years down the line, what have you really achieved under the circumstances? We agree, and perhaps we want to give you the credit that, yes, the current regime established the office, but what is telling on paper? What is the results? We've heard the former OSP describe the president himself as the mother serpent of corruption. Kwesi Schandorf also is very much frustrated. So, on the face of the results and the score sheet, really, is there anything to celebrate?
KPIs are very clear, you understand. The special prosecutor has been mandated to investigate corruption and
well, it appears we've lost him, but we are very sure that we'll reconnect with him again. But we are getting into the closing numbers of the conversation, and as always, we are getting to the latter stages of discussions here. We want to delve into the arena of solutions. So, Vitus, if you were president today, I don't know if you nurture such ambitions or not, but if you were the man calling the shots, the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, what were you going to do to deal with corruption decisively? Tease out 3 of those recommendations, and then I'll come to Palgrave, and then we'll call it a wrap.
Well, see, we have an anti-corruption action plan, and it gives 3 different strategies, which are related. The public education is what we have been doing on the media and at workshops, telling people that corruption is bad, it's harmful to the country. The second one is the prevention. We put in place the laws and set up the institutions to deal with it. Even though we have the laws and we have the institutions, they don't seem to be very effective because we are not seeing the third aspect, which is prompt investigations of credible allegations of corruption and possible prosecution if the people are found are indicted. So we need to go back and make sure that dealing with allegations of corruption, we investigate promptly, and where the people are indicted, we sanction them. Sanctions can be administrative or it can be prosecutorial. That is, you can recover assets, you can sack people, you can demote people, but you can also prosecute people and jail them. So those are the 8 things that we need to do. If they are not new, we know all these things, that we are not just doing it.
Okay, so you've spoken about public education, prevention, and then the implementation of, if I got that right, the implementation of applicable laws. So those really were your top 3. But if I were to constrict you to just one, what would you tip?
We have failed in the third part, which is the investigation and prosecution. And that's why we find ourselves in this. Because if we fail in that, people give you the impunity. Actually.
Okay, I'm sure this is where we want to take your closing comments, and then we'll get to Paa Kwesi. We understand we cannot get him. So your closing comments on corruption, the fight against corruption in general, and the substantive, trial, and then we call it a wrap. Hello, Vetus. Hello. Hello, Paa Kwesi.
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. I don't know why the network is not being our friend this afternoon. Maybe it's because you are not in Ghana at the moment. I don't know.
Oh, you don't have to stop that. Stop being naughty.
But let's come back to the point I was making, that you make the case that it's only President Akufo-Addo who currently, who has thought it wise to establish an office or an institution as relevant as the OSP. We do agree, but the scorecard is not reflective of that intervention, or it does not tally the intervention, in the sense that, yes, we have the office, but really the matter is still pinning us. And we've had someone like 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗵𝗏𝗘, who we all hailed, really leaving the office. Kwesi Schandorf is also sounding frustrated. So if you erect an edifice and it is not serving its purpose, should we not say that you have failed if we are not getting the results?
No, I think that, governance is extremely very different. It's hard for you to immediately say that government has failed because you're looking at a scorecard that is presented to you without going into the substance of the issue and verifying whether the government has failed or not. I would say that the government has not failed. There's no failure on the part of the government that relates to the OSP. Now, it takes time to do a lot of investigations, I will tell you. And these investigations, you need to ensure that you have the facts there. The facts are critically important, very, very important. If you miss out on the facts of the issues, then you miss out on a lot of things.
All right, because we are out of time, just like we did in the case of Vitus, if you were president today, and I don't know if you nurtured those ambitions or not, but this is only hypothetical. If you were president today and you were to propose 3 ways to nail corruption, what would be those effective measures that you think can deal decisively with the canker? 3 of them.
I think you want to hang me like people hang Jesus Christ on the cross. Let this come bypass me. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It's basically your recommendations around the fight against corruption. Of course, yes, we've seen a lot of interventions floating around, but what more do you think we can do, basically?
No, I think that it's important just to put on existing foundations that have been laid by successive governments, you understand? Which is why, for me, it's critical that we take the measures of digitalization critically important. Because once we're able to do that, then we're able to make sure that we are achieving our goals.
All right. Okay, I think we'll wrap up on this note. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Yes, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you despite the challenges. Paa Kwesi Schandorf is government spokesperson on governance and security. 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗘 is also an anti-corruption crusader, and both of them have been sharing their perspectives on today's edition of the show. My name is Paa Kwesi Schandorf. I'm sure Friday we'll have something more exciting to bite on. Bye-bye.